Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. A murder trial in Port Lavaca began Monday. What the victim's family is saying coming up. And the sheriff's office is sharing tips on how to protect yourself from scammers. Plus, the acting Secret Service director testified during a hearing yesterday. We'll tell you his thoughts on the attempted assassination.
And that radar is looking pretty clear out there this morning, and I think our skies are going to look like that for the rest of this week. Although also in our skies, we're going to have some Saharan dust today and tomorrow, and we're still watching the tropics. We'll take a look at that in the weather coming up.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. We're halfway through the week, Parker.
That's right, we are. We're so close to the weekend already. And he continues to be on the menu this week, Carolina. Would you believe that?
I do believe it, but we also have a little bit of Saharan dust.
That's right.
So
yes.
Is that going to get in the way of enjoying time at the pool?
No, I don't think so.
Outside?
I don't think so. If anything, the air quality might diminish just a tad bit, which I will post updates on that if it does happen later today. But otherwise, it's just going to look a little bit hazy out there. Skies might have a little tint of yellow in it, but we're going to look at that in just a second, because right now, if you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live here in Victoria. And actually, if you look really closely, it may look a tad bit hazy out there already, especially up here in this northwestern quadrant of this camera. You can see it does look a tad bit yellow out there, very hazy, but still plenty warm and humid out there. It's another average summer morning out there, 78 right now, and dew point 1 degree off from that temperature, bringing you a 96% humidity. So definitely plenty humid out there, enough for dew on your windshield, not enough for fog because it's summertime, warm, buoyant air out there, but plenty. There's not any rain out there this morning on our scope, and that's pretty good news. We're pretty much done with the rain. We had like 13 inches of rain last week for some, but that's good news is it's going to continue looking like that for the radar today. As you can see, looking at your future radar and clouds today, in fact, there's not going to be really much anything in terms of kind of precip or clouds today. It's going to be very sunny today, beaming sunshine. That's going to be UV index actually going to be extreme today, so be careful with that. But with that beaming sunshine today, getting up to about 93, I'm thinking here at Victoria, some of the northwest, y'all can hit the mid-90s. Very few of us in the upper 80s today because of the beaming sunshine today. And also with the humidity so high after all the rain we got last week, it's going to be humid during the daytime, bringing a humidity or heat indices as high as 107, 108 for some. So please be careful in the heat. Heat is the #1 weather-related killer out there, so definitely be careful on that. But like Carolina was saying, we got a big plume of Saharan dust that's going to be arriving, especially today. That's going to stick around until tomorrow before it clears up, and the sun continues this weekend. We're going to take a look at that later on Sunrise. Back to Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. A 23-year-old Port Lavaca man is on trial facing murder charges. Blake Downs is accused in the shooting of 19-year-old Cohen Berm at Downs' house on Holloman Road in Port Lavaca in April of 2022. Witness testimony from deputies with the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office who were first on scene and an admission from Downs himself noted he was the shooter. He also told officers where to locate the body and surrendered the weapon. Cohen Berm's aunt, Tanya Flores, wants her family to be able to move on after the trial.
It's very tragic. Never should have happened. We miss Cohen dearly. We just want justice for him. We want justice to be served. We want it to be over and done with. This has been over 2.5 years almost that we've been dealing with no closure. Nothing's happened. He's allowed to roam free and no consequences. So we just want some justice, and we want it to be over and done with.
The trial will resume this morning at 9 o'clock. If Downs is found guilty, he faces anywhere from 5 to 99 years or life in prison. The Lavaca Medical Center will be conducting a mass casualty incident drill from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Friday. It'll take place at the Hallettsville Stadium parking lot, and it'll feature a mock school bus wreck. The parking lot will not be accessible to the public during that time, and it's an exercise used to assess the preparedness of area first responders. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office has seen a surge in scam attempts targeting locals. Common scams include fake arrest warrants and government impersonation, with fraudsters demanding payment via gift cards or cryptocurrency. The Sheriff's Office shared several tips on how to protect yourself from these calls. To protect yourself, verify the caller's identity, avoid sharing personal information, and be wary of unsolicited requests. Government agencies never ask for gift card or cryptocurrency payments. Educate yourself and others, especially seniors, about these scams. If you suspect a scam, report it immediately. The Victoria ISD Superintendent Search Community Survey is now open to the public at visd.net. The Victoria ISD is inviting community members to take part in public meetings to help select a new superintendent. Meetings start Monday at Shields Elementary and at Allo Elementary, with 2 more meetings set for August 6th and 1 set for August 19th. The new head of the Secret Service says he is ashamed of the failures leading to the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe testified before a Senate committee Tuesday, saying the shooting was a failure of the agency. Rowe told the committee that he has visited the scene of the shooting and he is already making changes to the Secret Service as an investigation into the agency is underway. We're getting our first look at incredible new images from the deadly collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. They include workers' frantic efforts to reach out and save one of the survivors.
Newly released body camera video shows the moment rescuers pulled a man to safety moments after he survived the Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore.
They're bringing the victim in now. They rescued him out of the water.
Officers are seen helping Julio Cervantes Suarez onto a dock, still wearing his yellow construction vest. He walks to the ambulance, at times grabbing the railing.
He was shaking up pretty good.
That's a long fall.
In March, 6 other construction workers died after the Dolly, a container ship, lost control and hit one of the bridge pillars. Cervantes Suarez was sitting in his truck taking a break when the bridge collapsed, sending him plunging nearly 200 feet into the water. He says he thanked God before rescuers finally arrived.
Is that the Key Bridge that collapsed?
Yes, the whole bridge. The ship lost its steering, and the whole bridge is down in the water over here.
The body camera video also reveals the shocked reaction of first responders.
This is going to be a hell of a cleanup.
A preliminary investigation found the Dolly experienced 2 power blackouts within a couple of minutes before hitting the bridge, but it could take years for investigators to determine the official cause of the disaster. A new bridge is expected to be built by late 2028. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Microsoft announced it experienced Office application outages on Tuesday. The company posting, quote, "We're currently investigating access issues and degraded performance with multiple Microsoft 365 services and features." This global outage happened just weeks after a routine software update from the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike, causing a Microsoft outage affecting almost every major business sector, including airports, retail, and banks. The company has not provided an estimate on when this outage would be resolved. The past hours have been packed with new developments related to the Sonia Massey shooting. The Reverend Al Sharpton is calling for the release of certain employment records. They involve when law enforcement workers change jobs, are suspended, or are terminated. It follows the release of audio of a past employer reprimanding Sean Grayson. Sharpton says Illinois should name such a records law after Massey. Meanwhile, a union says it will not proceed with a grievance filed to try and reinstate Grayson. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Let's get a look at our time here. It is now 6:38 on our Wednesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. Find out what a teacher and student who decided to start running together have in common.
New this morning, Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to announce her running mate by early next week. I'm Christiane Cordero with the latest from Washington.
And also coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at your weather and health forecast, followed by your marine forecast. And later on Sunrise, we're going to take another look at the tropics and the Saharan dust. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live in Cuero. It's another warm and humid morning out there. Right now, 78 degrees and dew point at 78 degrees, matching that temperature, bringing humidity to 98%. So definitely plenty humid out there. Might see that dew in the windshield, no fog today, but going to be another very warm and very humid day, even in the mid-afternoon. That's why our heat indices are going to be as high as 106 to 108 today. So please be careful, but Otherwise, getting up to, I think, 93 here in Victoria, while some of the northwest, y'all could see the mid-90s for today. But good news for today is the pollen's going to be nice and low all across the board. Air quality is going to be moderate, although that might be bumping up to unhealthy. I'll have updates if it does later today. But UV index, that's going to be extreme with that beaming sunshine today. So make sure to make it a great one, because if you're going to go down to the beach, it's a great time to do that with the sunshine. Choppy waves out there, although, with your breezy winds gusting up to 25 knots at times. High tides later this morning at 10:19. Your low tide is going to be around midnight tonight, also just like that earlier this morning. But that Sahara dust is going to be arriving today, especially going to continue into tomorrow, cutting off before the weekend with the highs in the mid-90s, possibly rising as we get into next week. And we're going to take a look at that and the tropics and more in just a few more moments. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. New this morning, Vice President Kamala Harris plans to announce her pick for running mate by early next week. Sources tell ABC News she and the Democratic vice presidential candidate are scheduled to campaign in battleground states together starting Tuesday.
This morning, the race for the White House is nearing full speed. Likely Democratic presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, is planning to crisscross the country next week with her running mate, meaning we'll soon know who the VP contender will be. On Tuesday, Harris visited battleground state Georgia, speaking to a crowd of 10,000 and again challenging former President Trump to debate as he waffles over his decision.
I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage, because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Harris is also blasting Trump on immigration.
He tanked the bipartisan deal because he thought it would help him win an election.
The Trump campaign still blames Harris for the situation at the border.
She unleashed the worst border crisis in American history on her watch.
In newly released comments from Trump's Monday interview with Fox, he repeated unsupported claims that undocumented immigrants are stealing jobs from Black Americans.
When all of these people are coming in, the ones that are losing the biggest are the Black population. Now, not only in terms of job, but in terms of crime.
And the Trump campaign with a new ad blitz worth $12 million, which is set to air in 6 battleground states, attacking Harris as the owner of the Biden administration's border policies.
Under Harris, over 10 million illegally here.
Harris's campaign is punching back with a $50 million ad blitz that includes one on immigration.
Donald Trump blocked a bill to increase the number of Border Patrol agents.
The Democratic National Committee is scheduled to hold its virtual roll call starting Thursday and ending Monday, when they're expected to officially declare Harris as the nominee. No Democrat is running against her. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
If you were summoned for jury duty recently, we may have some news for you. The jury summoned today at the Victoria County Justice of the Peace No. 4 Court at 8:30 a.m. has been canceled, and the jury summoned for August 5th, the Victoria County Courthouse, has also been canceled. The summons will not be rescheduled. This Ohio student-teacher duo is blazing trails. Etienne Masquiat and his 12-year-old student Aiden Ardeline are both visually impaired, but the trumpet teacher noticed the Lakewood student had a lot of energy to burn. So together they started running track in tandem. All that training has really gone the distance. Last weekend, they ran Cleveland's Guardian Mile. The time is now 6:44 on our Wednesday morning. Still to come, a post office is facing complaints from community members. Learn what they're frustrated about. Okay, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Sam. Happy birthday, Sam, from your wife, Elaine, and all your family and the Disabled American Veterans family and the auxiliary. Thanks for all you do for our veterans.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service, Sam, and happy birthday. And happy birthday to Cindy. Happy birthday to my lovely wife, Cindy. And may God bless you with many more. Love, your husband, Travis.
Aww. Happy birthday to Juanita. Happy 61st birthday, Juanita. Love to see your post on social media.
Aw, happy birthday, Juanita. And another country star, Zach Brown, with their birthday today. He's turning 46. And not Zach Brown in sports, but Zach Brown band.
Yeah, I think Zach Brown in sports is still under 30.
That's right. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com, click the drop-down menu, click on home, and you'll see Submit Your Birthday Photo.
All right, let's get a look at our clock. It is almost 6:46 on our Wednesday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right. Happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. Like I've been saying all morning, that Saharan dust is going to be arriving today, especially, it was a little bit here yesterday, but it's going to be a lot more hazy today and tomorrow. We're going to look at that now. Well, there's actually two separate Saharan dust plumes out there right now in the Atlantic. Number one is going to be the one that's in the Gulf that's going to be coming today, but number two is all the way out there in the central Atlantic. And actually, if you look really closely, you can actually see right where the center of that tropical wave is that the National Hurricane Center is watching, and what we're watching as well as it starts approaching our Gulf. But looking at that, actually, we're going to see the National Hurricane Center does have a 60% chance of that system turning into a tropical cyclone, which means a tropical depression or greater. But as you can see, they also have a little area labeled of interest of where they think it's going to develop as we go into the weekend. And you can see it's pretty much spanning all over Florida. Latest computer models think it's going to go either just east of Florida, going up the East Coast, maybe land falling in Georgia or South Carolina, maybe even North Carolina. But then some of them make it go right through Florida. And there are also a couple computer models out there that think it is going to maybe skirt right through Florida and start heading west into our Gulf, kind of like what Katrina did, if you remember, back in 2005. But what's going on is the big steering mechanism for that tropical wave as it gets closer to our coastal waters is actually this high pressure system that's over the Bermuda area. That's going to be the steering mechanism as we go into next week, depending on how west or east it is. That's going to determine if it goes west into the Gulf or north along the East Coast. But I want y'all to please be weather aware over the next few weeks, because the Climate Prediction Center has just issued their outlook, and you can see for the next 2 to 3 weeks there are chances for tropical development in the Atlantic. But we're going to take a look at that and more later on Sunrise.
The City of Yoakum's post office has over 100 years of service and has received state recognition. What it doesn't have are accessible entrances for people with disabilities, but one local resident is fighting to change that. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting spoke with a resident who has an issue with the post office.
And I lost my car, and it's hard for me to get up there with a walker. And I'm afraid to leave my walker outside because for the simple reason somebody might take it.
The only ramp on the property is blocked by a curb at the front. The ramp also leads to the loading bay, which is only accessible to postal workers. Warren reached out to state officials like Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton. But every office says the same thing. That's a federal issue. Attorney for the Texas Disability Advocates, Brian East, says the onus should be on the building.
I think the problem is if you had a building that can be made accessible, even if it's over 100 years old, then that should be done. And there should be a time period by which they're going to do it, just as a matter of policy, whether the law requires it or not.
For now, disabled people can ask the post office's employees for help inside, which the weather often affects.
Whether it be in the super hot weather or the freezing cold or the rain, and it's just very hard all the way around.
Reporting in Yoakum, Trenton Whiting, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We want to know, is your local post office accessible for wheelchair users? Okay, let's take a look. 89% of you say yes and 11% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. The parent company of Facebook and Instagram has reached a record-breaking settlement with the state of Texas. Tuesday's $1.4 billion settlement stems from allegations that Meta had collected facial identification information on millions of users in the state. The lawsuit filed in 2022 claims Meta violated state privacy laws by automatically tagging users' faces on its sites. The process was used through a feature called Tag Suggestions. Meta is currently facing more lawsuits in 45 different states. The Federal Reserve is widely expected to hold interest rates steady at its two-day meeting that wraps up on Wednesday. Fed officials have signaled that they'll begin to lower interest rates in September. After Wednesday's meeting, economists will be listening closely to Chair Jerome Powell's news conference for hints about future rate cuts. The Fed raised interest rates to their highest level in more than 2 decades. Inflation still remains above the target, but it has been easing. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. Will floating barriers aimed at deterring migrants on the border remain in place? We find out after the break. Floating barriers aimed at deterring migrants on the Rio Grande can stay in place after a federal appeals court ruling. It's a win for the state of Texas in its ongoing legal dispute with the Biden administration. Tuesday's ruling from the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals wiped away a judge's preliminary ruling that had directed the state to move the buoys. The buoys were deployed as part of the governor's border security initiative known as Operation Lone Star. The proceedings will continue in the case as it heads to a full trial. The Senate passed a significant pair of children's online safety bills Tuesday that regulate social media's impact on youth. The bills are known as COSA and COPA 2.0 and were drafted following the emotional hearings that focused on the harms of social media on young people. COSA would require social media companies to provide better protections for users under age 17, while COPA 2.0, written by 2 senators, would create stronger online privacy protections for anyone under the age of 17. The VISD is calling for a special board meeting. It'll be at 5:30 p.m. Thursday at the VISD Fine Arts Center, and it's open to the public. The board encourages people to attend. The meeting won't be live streamed, but a recording will be posted to the district's website within 7 days of the meeting. A heads up for Victoria drivers. The outside northbound lane of Lawrence Street and the outside eastbound lane of Rio Grande Street will be closed at the intersection of these streets for repairs to a sewer manhole. The lanes will be closed through Friday. Businesses and homes in the area will remain open and accessible. High school students interested in civic engagement are invited to apply for the Mayor's Youth Council for the upcoming school year. You can read the story on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And we have time to look at our beautiful sunrise here, our beautiful Wednesday sunrise here with Parker. Parker, what do we have in store today?
Well, Carolina, actually that sunrise may not be as beautiful as you would think, but look at the sunrise. You might notice it looks real cloudy, but it's not. Actually, you can actually see where the clouds are. There's one right there. What you're seeing is that Saharan dust that's starting to come up with that sunrise, and it's making it look real hazy out there this morning, and it's going to continue like that today and tomorrow. But otherwise, right now, it's still plenty warm and humid out there in Port Lavaca. Right now, 81 degrees, 2.2 degrees off, bringing humidity to 94%. So plenty humid out there. Might see some dew on your windshield, but no fog. But looking at the satellite, this actually confirms, you can see they're not really too much in terms of clouds, really all over the beautiful state of Texas today, and that's going to bring a pretty hot day for all of Texas today. A lot of us in the hundreds, but all the way down here in the Crossroads, we are going to be in the low and mid 90s. And Victoria getting up to about 93, I'm thinking, and Cuero getting up to about 94. A little bit cooler, and Port Lavaca getting up to about 91 today. But the weather you just saw right there is going to continue just like that for the rest of the week. Hot and humid.
Oh, got to definitely be on the defense with the sunblock there. Thank you, Parker.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And I want to clarify, we were wishing Juanita a happy birthday today. It's actually meant for her friend Frank, who was in that photo. So happy birthday to Frank.
Happy birthday, Frank.
And hope y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. Remember to follow us on our YouTube channel and join us tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.